Secretly sleeping with my girlfriend's best friend, Edward X. Jacob. I hear the heartbeat before I see the deer. It's too fast, too loud, like a drum echoing through the trees, calling to every instinct I've spent a century trying to control. 1 second I'm standing still, the next I'm moving faster than sound, weaving through the forest like I was born from it. The cold air stings my skin, but I barely notice. The deer doesn't notice me either. Not until it's too late. I lunge. My hands catch it mid-bound, careful not to break it, careful even as I pin it against the mossy ground. Its body thrashes once, heart hammering beneath my fingers, and then my teeth sink in. Warmth floods my mouth. A rush of life I'll never have, never deserve, but can't resist. For a few breaths, the hunger fades. The ache inside me goes quiet. When it's done, I lower the deer gently, like it matters. Like my tenderness cancels out the violence. It doesn't. I know it doesn't. This is what I am. A predator. Pretending, every single day, to be human. My family and I, we've perfected the act. The Cullens smile, we go to school, we blend in. We laugh at the right moments, buy groceries we'll never eat, play house in this little town where no one asks too many questions. Forks is the perfect hiding place. But it's still a lie. All of it. And lately, that lie has been stretched thin, thinner than ever, because of one girl. Bella Swan. Her name alone makes my chest feel heavy. She's human. Delicate in every way, I'm not. And she loves me. That love is both the most extraordinary gift I've ever been given, and the most dangerous temptation. Because all it would take is one mistake, one slip, and she'd be gone. As if balancing her wasn't fragile enough, there's something else. Something even older than me, carved into the roots of this town. The truce. Vampires on one side. Werewolves on the other. We don't cross their lines. They don't cross ours. That's the deal. It's kept us from tearing each other apart for decades. But treaties are delicate things. And lately, every time Jacob Black looks at me, I can feel it cracking. A few hours later. Bella's room smelled like her. Warm, soft, human. Too human. She was sitting cross-legged on the bed, eyes fierce the way only Bella's could be. "I want you to change me," she said again, stubborn as ever. "I'm ready, Edward. I've been ready." I shook my head. "Number. It's too dangerous. You don't know what you're asking." "I do," she shot back. "I want to be with you forever. Isn't that enough?" I moved closer, crouching in front of her, trying to keep my voice calm. "Bella, your best friend, Jacob, wouldn't like it." Her jaw tightened. "It isn't his choice. It's mine." The words barely left her mouth when something slammed against the window with a crack that rattled the glass. Bella gasped. My head snapped toward it. Outside, on the lawn below, stood Jacob Black. His dark eyes were locked on me, chest heaving, jaw clenched. He raised a hand, not in greeting, but in a sharp point. At me. "You come out!" His voice carried even through the glass. Bella's face went pale. "Edward!" I touched her hand lightly. "Don't worry. He just wants to talk. I'll be back soon." Before she could argue, I was out the window, landing soundlessly on the grass. Jacob was already storming toward the tree line, not waiting for me to catch up. Typical. I followed, silent, into the shadows of the forest. When he finally spun to face me, his eyes were burning. "You're breaking the treaty," he snapped. I folded my arms, keeping my voice level. "I've done nothing of the sort." "You're planning to turn her." His whole body shook with rage, like he was holding back from phasing right here. "The treaty says no human gets bitten. No human gets changed. You think you're above that?" I narrowed my eyes. "You think I want this? You think I'd risk her life so carelessly?" "She wants it," he shot back, stepping closer. "She doesn't understand what it means, what it'll take from her. And you're too selfish to tell her the truth." My jaw tightened. "You don't know what you're talking about." His chest heaved, heat rolling off him in waves. The hell I don't. I know exactly what this is. You think you're her savior, but you're not. You're just a monster waiting for the day she's too fragile to resist you. That one landed. My hands curled into fists before I could stop them. Careful, Jacob. We were nose to nose now, his warmth crashing against my cold, like fire and ice colliding. His heart was racing so fast I could hear it over the wind. But then his words shifted. Softer, sharper. You think this is just about Bella? I blinked. The fury in his eyes had changed, twisted into something else. Something I'd seen before, but refused to name. What are you talking about? My voice was quieter now. He looked at me like he hated me, like he wanted to tear me apart. And then, before I could process it, his mouth was on mine. Hot, fierce, desperate. For a heartbeat, I froze, every instinct screaming at me to shove him away. But my body betrayed me. The hunger in me, the one I thought only Bella could stir, ignited in a completely different fire. Jacob tasted like heat and salt, like earth after rain, like everything I wasn't supposed to want. When he finally pulled back, both of us were breathing hard, even though I didn't need to breathe at all. His eyes were dark, wild, like he'd just confessed the secret he'd been hiding all along. That's what I want, he said hoarsely. That's what this was always about. And for the first time in a century, I didn't have a single answer. Later that night, when I climbed back into Bella's room that night, she was already asleep. Her hair fanned out over the pillow, lips parted just slightly, her breathing soft and steady. The girl who trusted me with her life. And I had kissed her best friend in the woods like I had no control left in me. I told myself it was nothing, just anger, just heat in the moment. Jacob always had a way of getting under my skin, twisting every nerve until I snapped. That kiss wasn't real. It couldn't be. I sat by the window, like I always did, listening to the whisper of her dreams and trying not to think about how my lips still burned. But then, a heartbeat. Not hers. Faster. Louder. Outside. I didn't need to look. I already knew. Jacob. And before I could stop myself, I was opening the window. He stood there on the branch, eyes dark, hair wild, chest heaving like he'd run straight from the res to here. We need to talk, he muttered. But when he climbed inside, his gaze went straight to my mouth. The silence stretched, thick and heavy. This doesn't mean anything, he said finally, his voice rough. That thing in the woods. I should have cut him off, should have agreed, should have thrown him back out the window. But I didn't. I just stood there, heartless heart pounding, waiting. His jaw tightened. Screw it. And then his mouth crashed against mine. It was fire all over again, hotter this time, messier. His heat swallowed me whole, every nerve in my body lighting up like it had been starving for this. My hands found his shoulders, broad, burning under my fingers, and instead of pushing him away, I pulled him closer. I hated myself for it, and I didn't stop. When we finally broke apart, his breath was ragged, my body trembling in ways it hadn't in decades. This doesn't mean anything, Jacob whispered again. But the way his hand lingered on my chest, feeling the stone-solid beat that wasn't there, told a different story. He left through the window without another word, and I stayed, staring at Bella's sleeping face, knowing I had just crossed a line I could never come back from. It didn't stop there. The next night, I told myself it wouldn't happen again. I told myself he'd stay away, that he'd come to his senses, regret it, bury it in silence. That was what I should have done too. But when the house was quiet, Esme and Carlisle out, Rosalie locked away with her music, Emmett glued to a game. I heard it. That steady, stubborn heartbeat pounding closer through the trees. Jacob. I didn't even realize I'd cracked the window until he was climbing through it, landing in my room with that smug, infuriating half smile. You're unbelievable, I muttered, standing too quickly, like I could put distance between us. He smirked, eyes flicking to the open window. You opened it. I hadn't realized I had, and then he was in front of me, the heat rolling off him like a furnace, his scent burning through me in a way I hated and craved at once. His hand fisted in my shirt, and his mouth crashed against mine. This kiss was different. Not the rough edge of anger like last time. No, this was hunger. Heat. A pull neither of us wanted to admit. He kissed me like he wanted to break me. I kissed him like I hated him for it. Maybe I did. Maybe I hated myself more. We stumbled backward, hitting the wall with a thud that should have drawn half the house. But no one came. Just him. Just me. Just this wildfire that wouldn't burn out. His lips moved down my jaw, my neck, every press of heat making my cold skin ache. My hands were tangled in his hair before I even realized it, pulling him closer, deeper. Jacob, I choked, but the word dissolved when his thumb brushed the sharp line of my jaw, and suddenly the kiss softened. Less fury, more something else. Something I couldn't name without it destroying me. We moved toward the bed without thinking, the one I had brought for Bella. Never thought I'd be on it with her best friend. His heat seared against me as we fell onto it, his weight pressing me down, his mouth fierce and desperate against mine. We can't! I tried again, breathless. Yeah. He cut in quickly, lips still grazing mine. We can't. This is just stress relief. Stress relief, I echoed, even though it sounded ridiculous on my tongue. But I didn't stop him when his mouth returned to mine. Hotter, deeper, hungrier. I didn't move when he shoved my shirt up, his hands exploring like he needed to know every line of marble skin. Cold and fire tangled together, the room spinning, every gasp and groan louder than it should have been. My fingers dug into his back, his heat sinking into me until I thought my body might shatter under it. By the time dawn bled pale light through the curtains, we were tangled in sheets I hadn't used in years, his head resting on my chest, both of us silent. He pulled away eventually, sitting up, not looking at me. His voice was rough when he muttered, "This doesn't mean anything." And I didn't have the strength to call him a liar. When he slipped out the window, the room felt colder than it ever had. And yet, I already found myself listening for his heartbeat again. A few days later. Bella wasn't stupid. People like to treat her that way. Clumsy, fragile, human. But she noticed things. She noticed me. One evening, while I sat in her room, pretending to read the same page of Wuthering Heights for the 5th time, she sat up in bed, staring at me with narrowed eyes. "You're distracted," she said slowly. I glanced up, careful, casual. "I'm always distracted around you." It should have made her blush. It usually did. Tonight she just frowned. "Not like that. You've been different. Ever since..." She trailed off, biting her lip. "Ever since the other night, when Jacob came." I stiffened before I could stop myself. Her gaze sharpened. "You've been on edge. And he's been weird too. Mood swings. Short temper. Even for him." I forced a small smile, closing the book. "Bella, you're overthinking. Jacob and I will never see eye to eye. You know that. Tension is natural." She studied me for a long moment. "Maybe, but..." Her eyes softened, worry seeping in. "Just promise me you'll be careful, okay? Whatever's going on between you and Jacob, I don't want it to mess with us." Her words hit harder than they should have. Because she wasn't wrong. Something was going on between Jacob and me, and it was already messing with us. I leaned forward, brushing my lips against her forehead, hiding the turmoil inside me. "I promise," I whispered, even though deep down, I knew it was a promise I couldn't keep. The next time Jacob came, he didn't bother with the window. He shifted outside, padding up to the house in wolf form, then changed back and slipped inside with the kind of confidence that said, I'm not asking anymore. You want this too. And he wasn't wrong. Bella was at Charlie's that night, and the emptiness of her room made everything worse. No witness, no barrier, just me and him. The second the door closed, he had me against it, lips fierce, teeth grazing. His heat pressed into me like it wanted to brand itself into my cold, unchanging skin. Tell me to stop. He growled against my mouth. I should have. Instead, my hands tangled in his hair, pulling him closer. Clothes half torn, kisses bruising, we stumbled across the room until my back hit the bedpost. For a heartbeat, he stilled. Eyes dark, chest rising and falling in rapid, uneven breaths. This is insane, I muttered, my voice breaking. Then let's be insane, he shot back, and kissed me harder. It was reckless, desperate, like trying to put out a fire with gasoline. And for the first time in over a century, I didn't care about control. I let myself burn. When it was over, we lay tangled in the mess we'd made, his heat seeping into me, my arm draped across him like I had the right. This doesn't mean anything, Jacob whispered again, but softer this time, almost pleading. And I didn't have the courage to tell him the truth. 3 weeks later. Days bled together after that. Nights became a dangerous routine, Jacob sneaking in, our lips colliding before we even spoke a word, our bodies betraying us both. And during the day, Bella noticed. She noticed the way I flinched whenever she mentioned Jacob, the way my eyes strayed towards the trees, listening for his heartbeat even when I didn't mean to. The way I sometimes seemed miles away, even when I was right beside her. One afternoon, she snapped. We were in the meadow, sunlight spilling over her skin like liquid gold, and she turned to me, arms crossed. Edward, what is going on with you? I froze. You're here, but you're not, she pressed, her voice trembling. You vanish at night. You barely touch me anymore. And whenever Jacob's name comes up, you... Her voice cracked. It feels like you're hiding something. Her eyes searched mine, desperate, scared. And for a moment, I almost told her. Almost confessed everything, laid the mess bare, and begged her to hate me. But then I remembered Jacob's mouth on mine, his heat, his whisper of this doesn't mean anything. And the truth lodged in my throat like a stake. I'm not hiding anything, I said softly, hating myself for how easily the lie slipped out. You're imagining it. Her eyes filled with tears. She didn't believe me. And I knew then, this affair wasn't just destroying me. It was destroying her too. About 2 weeks later. The first time it happened, I almost laughed. Almost. I was waiting at our usual clearing, pacing the edge like a fool, when Jacob stormed in, eyes darker than usual, fists clenched. They smell it on me, he said, voice low, sharp. My chest tightened. What? The pack. He shoved his hands through his hair. They keep asking questions. Why I reek of vampire when I'm not around Bella? Why it's your scent, not hers? I froze. The air between us turned heavy. What did you tell them? That we've been training. His jaw tightened. Running patrols together, learning each other's tactics. They bought it. For now. Guilt dug its claws into me. I'd put him in danger. If his pack found out the truth about what we'd done, what we were doing, he'd be exiled. Maybe worse. You shouldn't be here, I whispered. Not anymore. This. But before I could finish, he was in front of me, his hand gripping the back of my neck, his forehead pressed against mine. His heat seeped into me, and I hated how much I needed it. You think I care? He muttered. You think I don't know what's at risk? You should care. My voice cracked. Because I care. I can't, Jacob, I can't lose you. The words were out before I could stop them. His eyes searched mine, something softer, breaking through all the anger and fire. He kissed me then, slow and deep, not rushed like before. Not just physical. Something more. Something terrifying. When we finally broke apart, He whispered, "Then stop pretending this is nothing." I didn't answer, because the truth was, I couldn't. A few days later, the lies piled up quicker than I could bury them. Alice watched me too closely, like she could see the threads unraveling inside me. Carlisle asked about the training missions I claimed Jacob and I were doing. Esme smiled gently, but her eyes lingered too long, worried. And Bella looked at me with nothing but love, pure, unwavering love. Every time she reached for my hand, every time she kissed me goodnight, guilt burned through me like venom. She trusted me completely, and I was betraying her in the worst way. But when night fell, and I heard that steady, defiant heartbeat approaching my room, guilt drowned beneath something stronger. Need. That night, Jacob didn't waste words. He pushed me against the wall, mouth on mine, heat consuming me. My hands trembled as I pulled him closer, fingers clutching at the fabric of his shirt like I'd fall apart without him. It wasn't just fire and ice colliding anymore. It was gravity. The pull between us too strong, too inevitable. At one point, breathless against my lips, he whispered, "I hate this. I hate how much I care about you." The word hung between us. Care. I should have stopped it there. I should have walked away. But instead, I cupped his face in my hands and kissed him like I needed him to breathe. And in that moment, I knew. I was falling. Falling for the one person I should never want. 3 days later. It happened too fast. 1 second, Jacob had me pinned against my bedroom wall, his lips hovering over mine, our breaths tangled, the heat of him burning into me so deep I could barely think. And the next, Edward. Her voice. My heart stopped. Bella stood frozen in the doorway, eyes wide, face pale, staring at us like the world had just shattered around her. "Bella!" I started, pushing Jacob back, but the damage was done. Her eyes filled with tears, fury and heartbreak twisting together. How could you?" Her voice cracked. "With him!" Jacob stepped forward, trying to speak, but she cut him off with a sob. "Do you even care what this means?" She turned on him, rage spilling out. "You know the truce. If the pack finds out, if they know..." Her words choked off, and suddenly I saw it, what she really feared. Not just the betrayal, not just losing me, but the war this could spark. Vampire against wolf, Cullen against pack, blood spilled because of us. I reached for her, guilt tearing me apart. "Bella, please." "No," she shouted, backing away. "Don't touch me. Don't you dare." Her voice broke. "I loved you, Edward. I trusted you, and you." Her eyes flicked between me and Jacob, full of pain. "You destroyed everything." She turned and fled, footsteps pounding down the hall. Jacob cursed under his breath, running a hand through his hair. "She's gonna tell the others. Her dad, the pack, everyone." The weight of it pressed down on me, suffocating. If the pack knew, Jacob risked exile. If the Cullens knew, the truce could shatter. And Bella could never forgive me. And yet, as Jacob's hand brushed mine, heat sparking even through the devastation, I knew the truth. It was already too late. I'd fallen. Later that night. The forest was alive with anger. I heard them before I saw them. Jacob's pack, their snarls echoing through the trees, claws digging into the soil. The ground trembled under their pacing. I could taste their rage in the air, thick and feral. And then Jacob stepped into the clearing, my scent still heavy on his skin. Sam's voice cracked like thunder. "You reek of leech." His golden eyes narrowed on me, then back to Jacob. "Explain yourself." Every muscle in my body coiled tight. The Cullens stood behind me, Carlisle's calm authority, Emmett's fists flexing, Jasper radiating tension like a storm. Alice's hand gripped Rosalie's wrist, holding her back, and Bella. Bella stood off to the side, face pale, betrayal and heartbreak shadowing her features. "Training," Jacob said, but his voice faltered. Sam growled, "Don't lie to me." He stepped forward, towering, furious. You've been with him. We smell it. Not just his scent, his claim. My stomach lurched. I'd marked him. Without meaning to, without thinking, I'd left my scent on his skin, his clothes, his very soul. And they knew. Leah spat, sharp and venomous. You shame us all. You disgust me. The pack closed in, circling Jacob like wolves around prey. Instinct snapped through me. I moved in front of him, a shield of stone and fury. If you want him, you'll go through me. My voice shook with the weight of it, but I didn't back down. In a blur, Emmett was beside me, Jasper at my flank, Rosalie hissing low. But Carlisle's hand lifted, warning restraint. Sam bared his teeth. Then this is war. No! Jacob's voice cut through the night, raw, defiant. He pushed past me, shoulders squared, chest heaving. His eyes burned with something I'd never seen before. Not anger, not pride. Love. This is my choice, he said, loud enough to shake the trees. You don't control me. You don't own me. If I want him, if I want Edward, then that's my damn right. The forest fell silent. His words hung in the cold air, impossible, undeniable. He'd said it, claimed me, in front of his entire pack. My throat tightened. Guilt, fear, love. All of it crashed into me like a tidal wave. Sam's growl was low, dangerous. You're choosing a vampire over your own family. Jacob didn't flinch. I'm choosing him. The Cullens shifted behind me, ready to fight, but I spun, holding out a hand. No. My voice cracked like ice. No retaliation. Not for me. Not for him. Rosalie hissed. Edward! I won't let blood spill because of us. I turned back to the pack, meeting Sam's blazing eyes. If punishment is needed, take it out on me, not him. Jacob snapped his head toward me, fury flashing. Don't you dare! But I cut him off, stepping closer, chest to chest with the wolf who wanted my death. I stand by him. If that means exile, if that means war, then you'll face me first. The pack bristled, torn between rage and shock. Jacob's breaths came hard, his heat searing at my back as he stood beside me again, shoulders brushing mine. Together, he said under his breath. Not a plea, a vow. For one suspended heartbeat, the clearing held still. Wolves and vampires, fire and ice, two worlds that were never meant to touch, balanced on the edge of breaking. And for the first time, I wasn't ashamed. Not of him, not of us. If this was the beginning of war, then so be it. Because I knew Jacob was worth every wound. 3 years later, snow fell soft and steady outside the cabin windows, blanketing the world in white silence. The logs crackled in the fireplace, casting golden warmth over the small living room. Pine and spice lingered in the air, courtesy of Jacob, who'd insisted on bringing a tree home, even if he had to drag it through half the forest himself. I sat back in the worn armchair, a mug of untouched cocoa cooling in my hands. I didn't need warmth, but Jacob insisted I play along. His words, his rules. Across the room, he was untangling Christmas lights with his usual mix of irritation and determination, muttering under his breath when they snagged. I smiled faintly. 3 years, and his fire still burned the same. But mine had changed. As the flames licked the hearth, memories stirred. The night we left still felt like a scar. The clearing, the growls, the lines drawn. The moment Jacob stood beside me and said he chose me, and everything fractured. The pack turned their backs on him. My family, though loyal, couldn't shelter us without fanning the war. So we ran. We disappeared into the shadows, into the margins of the world, carving out a life far from treaties and borders. But before we left, I'd gone to Bella. I still remember her face when I walked into her room one last time. Her eyes had been rimmed red, her hands trembling against the quilt. "Why him, Edward?" she whispered. "After everything. Why him?" I had no answer she could understand, only truth. Because I can't let him go. And if I stay, Bella, I'll destroy us both. Tears welled, but she didn't scream, didn't curse. Bella Swan never did. She only looked at me with quiet devastation, then gave the smallest, most broken smile. You must really love him, she said softly. If you're ready to leave everything behind, just for him. And then, God, the strength it took, she reached for my hand. Be happy, Edward. Both of you. Please. That was her goodbye. Rosalie had been waiting outside, her voice sharp as glass, but her eyes wet. Go. I'll take care of her. You have my word. And she did. Back in the present, I blinked away the weight of the past, focusing on the warm, living firelight. Jacob had finally conquered the string of lights, triumph written all over his face as he draped them messily over the tree. He caught me watching. What? You judging my decorating skills again, Leech? Always, I said, lips curving despite myself. He grinned, that lopsided grin that had undone me since the beginning, and crossed the room. His heat sank into my cold skin as he leaned down, stealing a kiss before pressing a small envelope into my hand. It came today. From them. My fingers stilled. Them. The handwriting on the envelope was delicate and familiar. Alice. Inside was a card, and inside the card, a photo. Alice, Bella, Rosalie. In bed together, tangled in sheets, smiles lazy and soft. Alice's hand curled at Bella's waist, Rosalie's head on her shoulder. Bella glowing with something I thought she'd lost forever. Jacob laughed low, peeking over my shoulder. Well, damn, didn't see that one coming. But my chest ached in a strange, almost relieved way. Alice had turned Bella. She was no longer fragile, no longer mortal. She was theirs, forever. She was loved. A note scrawled beneath the photo in Alice's careful script. Family takes different shapes. Don't forget. You're still ours too. I set the card down slowly, the weight of it sinking into me. The Cullens still wrote sometimes. Leah and Seth too. They reached out when they could, brief stolen calls before duty pulled them back. It always hurt when the conversations ended too quickly, but we learned to treasure the fragments we were given, because in the end, it was worth it. Jacob dropped onto the armrest beside me, his body warm, his arm slipping around my shoulders like it was the most natural thing in the world. He looked at the fire, at the tree, then at me. 3 years, huh? He murmured. Yes, I said quietly. Worth it. I turned, meeting his gaze, and in those dark, unflinching eyes I saw the answer before I even spoke. Every exile, every scar, every moment his lips quirked, and then he leaned in, kissing me slow, unhurried. No guilt, no secrets, just us. Outside, snow fell. Inside, fire burned. And for the first time in 3 years, I felt something that had eluded me through centuries of eternity. Peace. The end. If you were in Edward's place, would you have chosen the safe love that everyone expected, or the dangerous one that cost you everything? Thanks for watching. Subscribe to become part of our Rainbow Force, and consider joining our membership for early access and exclusive content. Stay wholesome.